Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. It's Rostermania leaks and announcement season yet again. Florida Mutineers confirmed their team last night. Some would say rather underwhelming. We'll dive into that too in a second. And also Shotzzy maybe leaking what's going on within the OpTic camp, suggesting that Sender might not be leaving after all, despite the fact that he was linked as a new assistant coach for the New York Subliners. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. And plenty going on as per usual. So Boston, I believe they also did another tweet here implying they're going to announce their team later on today. We believe we know what it's going to be. We'll see that here in a second. Now, some rumours, because Prolute tweets this out, we may well believe at this point that he's going to be the SMG player for the Vegas Legion alongside Temp, TJ, and maybe Clay. We'll have to stay tuned for that one. Now, this also from Paul X kind of saying he signed a contract. We believe after all the drama with Paul the last few weeks or so, he is indeed going to go to the London Royal Ravens to be their flex player. I guess Zero is going to be the AR, and then we think Asim and Nasty is the SMG pairing. Another interesting team, no doubt, but of course we'll see what Florida Mutineers have to do here in a second. Speaking of London, just to kind of confirm that a little bit more, Gizmo does still have Ravens here in his bio, or at least in his header, but it's gone from his bio, right? So it now no longer says Call of Duty player for Ravens, it now says for no one, so I guess he's going to be in the challenger side, as we believe is the case next season, replaced it seems by Paul X on now a full-time basis for this roster. Now Awakening and the Boston Breach haven't yet been confirmed. We believe it's going to be Methods, Nero, Vivid plus Awakening as the team of 4, replacing TJ effectively with Big Wake on that roster. Now Willett says, feels strange not going into a new season without my guy Awakening. We'll see what Florida do here in a second. But as Awakening says, definitely a strange feeling, but best of luck. I can't wait to have some solid battles out there, brother. So he's not, he's not holding back on the idea that yes, indeed, he is on a roster. It is just yet to be confirmed. We should see it later on today. But let's talk Florida, right? Because they made an interesting roster. This just from PT real quick. If you guys have been around the European COD scene for quite some time, you guys may well know this name of PT, and I guess he's kind of got the itch again to compete for Modern Warfare 2. Many names making their return for this season of the kind of Challengers play, PT being one of them, and even some other guys in the European scene, the likes of Denzo and even Vortex, I believe, that said they were going to step away, can't help themselves. They're back in business again, so I guess we'll stay tuned for that one, but PT, a well-known name in the European scene a few years ago. And here we go then with the Mutineers roster for 2023. Now, I must say that really, I think I like the graphic more than I like the team, but I don't think the team is as bad as people are actually suggesting it will be. Their main AR is going to be Major Maniac. They brought him back from last season. Havoc comes back to Florida as their SMG player. Of course, quite a tenured player really with the Mutineers in the CDL era, but after Cold War, they wanted to replace him with, I think it was Vivid, and then he was either going to sit on the bench or go to Challengers. He committed to his self-improvement effectively and left Mutineers bench to go to Texas, build the best Challengers team in Texas Nation, got the chance on Rokkr, proved to do pretty well, and now he's back on Mutineers. It's a bit of a strange love affair really between Havoc and Mutineers the last couple of years, so he's going to be one of their SMGs. Their other SMG is Vickle, of course, player this past season for the Toronto Ultra Academy North America. Spanish player, originally has come over, proved he can be a pretty good slaying SMG, at least in the Challenger scene. Not exactly the real top prospect from that side of things, but the Ultra Academy NA were the best team in the Challenger side in the latter half of the season. Good to see Vickle getting a chance. And the other guy is Brack. If you guys have been around a few years, like the Black Ops 4 days especially, you'll certainly know the name of Brack at the start of the season on Midnight Esports, then went on to Luminosity towards the end of the season, to some decent success alongside Skies as it was at the time. A lot of pros though thought after that season, yeah, this Brack guy puts up great numbers, but plays for kills a fair bit. He kind of got that kind of reputation, and then going into Modern Warfare, right, for the CDL era, he was on the Toronto Ultra at the time, but I don't know if he ever started him out. I think maybe he did start or something, but he was on that team, and then eventually, they had that 10-man roster right in Modern Warfare. The team they settled on at the end of the season didn't include Brack, and it's now taken him a couple of years to get another spot back in the league. So I'm really happy for Brack, actually. I think it's really cool that he can, he's kind of a rookie in a way, but he's still competed 4 years ago, and it's kind of crazy that he had his debut many years ago in COD history, now back in Black Ops 4, 2018, I guess it would have been, and now 4 or 5 years later, he's kind of back as a CDL rookie in some way. So that's pretty cool. I thought the Brack's actually earned his spot back in the league. I think it'll inspire other players that are in a similar boat, GodRx and the like as well, to try and still make it back. Vickle, I think it's cool he's getting a chance, but look, it's not exactly the most star-studded roster on paper, right? You look at this team, you're thinking, well, they might well be struggling to make it to the World Championship, right? And I think that's probably fair enough, because there are a lot of good teams in the top 8 right now, and Mutineers obviously know with the budget they have and the kind of decisions they usually make, they're not going to be a team in that category, at least in terms of what money they have to spend, but in previous years, they've made good decisions in terms of their scouting. The likes of Awakening, for example, was a good pickup, and some others, well, in the similar era, to be honest. The last couple of years haven't quite been so good for them, and this season they're taking a punt on Brack and Vickle that they can be the kind of next level of players they need. You kind of know what you're going to get from aBeZy, you know what you're going to get from Havoc, very solid, serviceable SMG, but maybe they need another kind of like slaying SMG alongside Havoc to make that SMG duo really pop, and hopefully Vickle can be that guy for them at least. And of course, yeah, we talked about the whole Havoc Florida thing over the last couple of seasons. The key part to me about this team, though, is that they've really focused on building a good search and destroy foundation. This is why I think this team is better than some are potentially giving it credit for. Even iLLeY says, you know, well deserved, brother, because we know that MajorManiak, when he joined Florida Mutineers, their search and destroy win rate went up massively at the end of last season. Certainly a search and destroy specialist, as arguably is Havoc to some degree. They're building a good search and destroy team at the Mutineers, and I honestly think that is the way to go. They haven't signed 7 main ARs, they've just got some actual SMG players, an actual flex player, I suppose, in Brack, and then they've got their main AR in MajorManiak. Like, the actual structure of the team is designed quite nicely, and they've got some search and destroy prowess. And if you are a team like Florida, that's the way you've got to do it. You're not going to be able to get the players to outgun FaZe, outgun, you know, OpTic, Thieves, all these other teams, even Minnesota, Toronto, these teams with, you know, stacked with talent. Mutineers don't really have the resources to get players like that on their roster, at least players that are theoretically going to be at that level. They're not going to be a crazy respawn team, I think there's no doubt about it. But I do think they can be a solid search and destroy squad, and that is the key, because the last couple of seasons, the likes of Paris and other teams in a similar boat that have really struggled to get wins, like, the way to get wins is to try and win game 5s, and I think that's what Florida are going to try and do, because last season, their search and destroy, their game 5 record was pretty atrocious, I think, and actually when MajorManiak came in at the end of the year, even with 2Real coming in, their respawn got worse, arguably because their SMG duo wasn't quite up to standard, but their S&D got better, and therefore they actually won equally, if not marginally more series at the end of the year, because they started winning game 5s, Florida. I think they realised that's what MajorManiak helps to bring, and that's why Florida have an interesting team for me. I don't think they're going to be good enough to make the World Championship. I don't think they're going to be good enough to like 3-0 teams, but they can sneak game 5s, go 2-3-5, 2-4-5, whatever, against some of the top teams in the league, I think, with this squad. And I think that's what teams of this nature have kind of, well, they should have done for quite some time. Like Paris last year should have just doubled down on trying to be the best search and destroy team they can be. They maybe did that to some degree with getting Johnny and stuff, but like if Paris were better at search last year, they would have won. Like, they were in a lot of game 5s that were winnable last season, Paris. If they'd have just actually won some of those game 5s, like maybe they look a bit better or get some better results or whatever. So Florida, I think, are in a similar boat. They don't have the raw ability and talent to maybe challenge some of the top guys for event victories, but they can get a lot of big upsets, I think, against big teams by winning game 5s. And that might be good enough to get some results. We saw Los Angeles Guerrillas practically win an event back in Major 2 this year by winning game 5s. That was their entire strategy eventually, and it worked for them, right? So, you know, Florida maybe trying to do the same thing, and I do like the kind of players that they've gone for here, actually, to try and give Brack a go, and Vickle as well, players that have kind of proved themselves in challenges you can get relatively cheaply, and also build a good S&D team. So, intuit your thoughts in the comment section below. It's far from spectacular. A lot of people are saying they're going to be fighting with Vegas for top 12, but I do think they've got somewhat more upset potential, even if their actual numbers at the end of the year don't look quite so good. Now, let's talk about OpTic and Hicksy and all this type of stuff. This excellent subscriber right here reminds me of kind of this time last year, I guess, when everyone and their art was leaking, like, well, the OpTic situation, right? Like, iLLeY's barber was leaking it, Rambo's dad was leaking it, everything was going on what was going on last season within the OpTic camp. But of course, Shotzzy, better known as Hicksy, of course, is also trying his best to do exactly that. So there's been some talking points, of course, about what the coaching arrangement is going to be on OpTic next season, whether they need an additional coach or whether they want to change up their coaching staff, because, yeah, the last couple of years it's worked okay, but maybe not incredibly well. There's been some talk about, okay, what about JP Krez or something as an analyst to come into the team, and what exactly is the situation for Sender? They seem to like him, and I do remember a while ago, actually, Shotzzy said on stream that Sender wasn't leaving OpTic, and there was nothing really to those rumours, and then about 2 days later, Sender put on Twitter, yes, he's exploring offers, like after talks with OpTic, to potentially go elsewhere, right? So I don't know if they really tell Shotzzy anything anymore, just because he's rather inclined to leak it, but a clip did come out on stream where it was noticed in the background that Sender was kind of spotted with Shotzzy in the building, and well, he was asked, look, is that Sender actually staying after all? And then he said, well, yeah, Troy is staying, but then he was like, actually, I'm trolling, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, do you hear Brandon?
No, what do you say? I can kind of hear him. Wait, is that Troy in the background?
Yeah, no, he's still on OpTic now.
He's still on OpTic?
Yeah, no, we got him back.
Really? Did you guys announce that?
No, I just leaked it.
Ah, dude.
I'm
Let's get
trying.
it, Troy. Welcome back, brother.
I'm trying. Bro, you believe everything I say, dude. I swear.
Huh?
Yeah, so you believe everything.
So what do you guys think about this, right? Seemingly, Sender is still with OpTic for now, and clearly Shotzzy didn't want to say too much of what he said. He was like, hang on a second, I gotta backtrack, I can't keep doing this again. So he was like, look, I'm trolling, I didn't give you any information away about what's going on with Sender. So he seems to be still with OpTic for now, but he tweeted this out right on the 25th of August, suggesting that yes, indeed, he's going to be looking to go elsewhere, looking for another coaching or management position at another team. Question was, have OpTic kicked him out effectively, or has he decided to leave and go for what you'd imagine would be like a head coach position, right? Like, I think in aBeZy's case, it was a similar one. He was exploring offers from Toronto Ultra, and if he found a better opportunity for more money, or more status, or more responsibility, or whatever, then he would have gone and done that. That's what happened with the Los Angeles Guerrillas move that he has now done. That, of course, took that spot away from Sender, and if Sender was to leave OpTic and go to another assistant coach position, such as at the New York Subliners, as is presently rumoured, then it's like, well, it's probably not Sender's choice to do that, like, you know, unless he's getting more money for it, let's just say. But you'd think he probably would stay with OpTic if that was the case. So, you know, maybe it implies that actually OpTic are planning to get rid of Sender or move on or just change up the coaching staff in general. That might be a viable option, right? But the present rumour is we believe Sender's going to go to New York, and Shotzzy maybe knows, maybe doesn't know. Who really knows, right, what Shotzy's thinking underneath the headsets. But, yeah, what do you guys expect to happen here, right? Will Sender stay within the OpTic camp? Will he indeed go elsewhere, as is currently being rumoured? And as we say, like with the, well, of course, Seattle have now got CleanX back. Toronto needs someone as their head guy, and at New York, we believe are going to have Guerrilla and Sender as their duo, but of course all could still change. So definitely tweet your thoughts on that one, and that's the thing, but with aBeZy going in from Toronto, Coach Mania is still underway. CleanX stayed on Seattle. I think Toronto might have wanted CleanX, so that's a bit of a question mark there as to who they get now, especially if, you know, of course there's other coaches flying around, JP, like Revan, for example, from New York, and now kind of free agent coaches on the market, so they could go elsewhere. Definitely an interesting one, because a lot of these teams now have a good idea what their roster is going to be. What the coaching staff is, of course, though, is a big question, no doubt about it. And just to mention a couple of things here also from the OpTic camp to finish out the video, this, of course, happening round about this time next month, October 15th, 16th. That's when there's the OpTic TST. Beautiful event with, well, especially what I'm interested in, the Black Ops 2 Invitational coming up relatively soon. And also there's this, which I believe is tonight. We talked about this a while ago now, but the OpTic Rangers game where Hex and Scump are going to, like, throw the first pitch or something. Like, I mean, yeah, that is going on tonight, I believe. So definitely watch out on social media for that one. And also just to mention, Don Don's come out with another track. This one's called Ride the Lightning. So, I mean, yeah, whether you guys think it's good or not so good, look, he's putting out some songs in there. You gotta respect it. The guy's putting in some time. And yeah, this one was pretty well produced, I thought. So very much enjoy your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.